Welcome to Spiritual Changemakers, the podcast that guides you through tough times with practical tools and inspiring stories. I'm Andreea Tamas, your host and the Sacred Transitions Coach. Join us as we hear from spiritual changemakers who have connected with their higher power and overcame adversity. Whether you are navigating a difficult transition or seeking to deepen your spiritual practice, our podcast provides guidance to help you find magic in the change. Come on this journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and transformation with us and unlock your potential to become your best self. Hello, my beautiful souls. I'm so excited to do an episode with you and share about my process. This past few weeks, I would say they have been very, very intense, going through some heartbreak. And not just that, but I was faced and taken back to, I would say, some of my old behaviors, of my old beings. And I know that was the opportunity there on why I was faced with that situation in particular. And today we are going to talk about indecision. How do you make an aligned decision when you find yourself at a crossroad, when you find yourself not knowing what to choose next, not knowing what to do, and just feeling confused? And this is what I want to talk to you about today. That's a conversation I would like for us to have. And I'm going to share with you the process that I have taken myself through and how my whole life, pretty much, I dealt with this syndrome, to call it out like that, and how am I moving through it? And I've noticed this comes a lot into our life when, I would say, when we lose the confidence in ourselves, when we forget what we stand for, when we forget what are our values. So, as I shared with you recently, I have been through some heartbreak. And after I allowed myself to fully open my heart again, after I've been so heartbroken after my life's partner, I was faced in my relationship with a situation where I felt that my trust was betrayed. And I've told myself last year when I have started traveling solo that this year, this journey, it is going to be for myself, that no matter what, I will choose myself. And I will learn how to do that over and over again, because I've dealt, I would say, my whole life with people pleasing, and I've never knew how to prioritize myself, how to put myself first, because for such a long time, I was so disconnected from who I am, what are my needs, what are my desires. I remember when I started on personal development, when I got to be asked those questions, I'm like, what? Was I supposed to know that? Ooh. So it's been a very long journey. Just imagine that I started on personal development in 2017 and on coaching in 2019. So ever since, I've been through a lot of different processes and exercises. And one thing I'm very proud of myself and of my journey is that I went deep. I went very deep to get in touch with who I am, with what is it that I desire. And this is what it's one of my wishes for you, to really get in touch with your core essence. When we are able to peel off the layers from the society, from family, from friends, of all the expectations that we place on ourselves, that we let others place on us, and we get fully naked with what is it that we want? What is it that it's our desire? How is it that we want to live our life? What is our dream life? And when we allow ourselves to go deep within and feel it all, that's when you're gonna get so connected, not only with yourself, but with everything around you, with all the people around you, with the nature, with the universe, with everything. And while going to heartbreak, oh, it's very hard. And I know we all experience heartbreak at one point or another. It's if you love, I think it's inevitable not to experience heartbreak. And while it's so painful, I also want to remind you that it is so worth it, because I liked to remind myself during this time that the reason why I'm feeling such a big heartbreak is because I allowed myself to love at a very deep level. And was it worth it to feel that love, even though now I'm feeling the heartbreak? 100%. I wouldn't change a thing. So, what do you do when you get to a place of having to make a big decision? Because staying in a relationship, changing your career, moving to a new place, going through loss, these are all big transitions, big changes that we all go through at one point or another through our lifetime. It's not a matter of if you are going to go through, it's a matter of when, I will say. And when we get to experience that in our life, how do we handle it? How do we deal with it? How do we choose to respond? And this is what I want to talk to you about. And for me, every single time when I go now through a hard time, when I go through a transition, because me being a transition coach, I constantly remind myself, okay, Andrea, how do you want to show up right now? What does it feel at integrity? How do you want to lead yourself right now? And I can tell that I'm not the most proud of with every single thing I had done during this moment. And it has shown me how much work there is still to do. And this is me being fully vulnerable with you, that even though we're going to work, even though maybe you're like me and you help people on these things, that doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes. You are not failing, but you are making mistakes. And it's a matter of, are you gonna look at that with love and compassion and learn from them? Or are you gonna judge yourself and be like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you have done that, even though you knew better? So I want to share with you the process that I've taken myself through. And yeah, in the past, I used to call myself the queen of indecisions. Because I swear to you, every single time when I felt that I am at a crossroad in my life, when I felt like I have to make this like big decision, I've always felt like pulled into directions. And now what I have learned more and more, it has been like this fight between my head and my heart. like what my heart tells me and what my heart desires. So this is something to pay attention to, even for you when you go through a a challenging time and you are at a point to make a decision. It's like start to separate them and see, okay, what is it that my head is telling me? And a lot of times our head, like our thoughts, they're also gonna be backed up by our ego. It's gonna be backed up by the ego. And it's gonna be like, oh no, you shouldn't forgive because that means you are weak. Or you shouldn't do that because then you act in fear, in lack. But then when you check truly with your heart, when you allow yourself to go deep, to drop into your heart and listen to your intuition, it's like connecting with your higher self and asking your higher self, what is it that is my best next move here? The best decision that I can take right now in this moment, and reminding yourself that no decision is final, no decision is forever. And knowing that, yes, you can make a decision right now, and in a week, two, or in a month or 2 months, you can change your mind, and that's okay. So the first thing I want to invite you is separate and see what is it that your head and your ego it's telling you that you should do. And then fully connect afterwards with your heart. And ask your heart, connect with your higher self, do a meditation, and ask your higher self, ask your heart, what is it that you desire right now? What does it feel the most aligned in this moment? The second thing I want to share with you to help you make an aligned decision is I want you to give yourself permission to take time and space, especially when it's about making a big, life changing, altering decision, which is also, am I going to stay in this relationship or no? Am I going to continue with this job or no? Am I going to move to a new place? Give yourself time. And this is, I would say, a fine line because I tend sometimes to be like super impulsive. And this is one mistake that I could say I have done during this, this last transition in my life during this last time, where I also made like a very impulsive decision based on my emotions in that moment. So you don't want to make any big decisions when you are in a high peak, like emotional state, because I'm sure you've heard that when your emotions are high, your intelligence is low. So make sure you don't make any important decisions when you are triggered. So give yourself some time. And I also want to encourage you to maybe go and look into your human design. I have researched my human design now for a couple of years, and I have been integrating it in my life here and there. And what I have learned is that I'm a reflector, a 3-5 reflector. And as a reflector, I need around 1 month, like a moon cycle, in order to make a big decision. And I need to give myself that space and time without rushing in order to make the decision. And maybe for you it's the same if you are a projector. I know for projectors it's the same thing. So I'm going to add it to the show notes where you can go just do a free test. Find out your human design if that speaks to you. So you also understand yourself better and how you operate better and what is best for you. And do not compare yourself with others. because there are people who can make these kind of big decisions very fast and they move on and move forward and that's it. But it's very important to honor your process and to do what is it that feels good for you. The third thing I want to invite you and I want to share with you to do is to change your environment. Like right now for me, after my trust is being betrayed, I decided to step away from that situation, from that person. And I just ventured on a solo trip in Portugal to just be in my own energy. And I'm not saying you have to leave right now and go on a solo trip or whatever, but maybe you can do a weekend getaway. Maybe you can go to some friends. Whatever the decision is about, I want to encourage you to change your environment because it's always good to have fresh perspective, fresh energies. It's going to help you look at the situation from different angles. So that's the other step I want to share with you. And then it is so important to ask for help during those times because ooh, when we go through such a big transition and we need to make a decision, we want to make a decision. We don't need to do anything, but we want to make a decision. I don't know about you, but again, like my human design helped me a lot to understand this that I get clarity by speaking things out loud with a lot of different people. And when you do that, it's important to tell people, I just need you to hear me out. Because what you don't want to do, you don't want people to tell you what decision to make because no one is going to be able to tell you what is the best thing for you to do. And it's very important for you to come up to with a decision, to come up to a conclusion, because that means you take responsibility for your life. You take responsibility for your decisions. So that's not the purpose of asking for support, but you can share what it is that you're going through with other people. And if it's friends, what I encourage you is to just tell them, can you just listen to me? I just need a year. I just need someone to hear me out. And then really pay attention. How is it that you are sharing your experience? How is it that you're sharing what you are going through? Are you sharing from a point of, oh my God, this is happening to me and I cannot believe I'm going through this? And oh, or are you able to share from an empowered place? You're like, oh, I know I'm going through this. I know it's super hard and I have to make a decision, but I know it's happening for me. I know it's happening for my growth. Because what I can tell you is that especially people that we attract in our lives, they are like mirrors. They are mirroring back to us what are the places that we still need to heal? Where is it that we still have wounds, that we still have things to work on, maybe on our unworthiness, where we don't feel worthy? So people are going to be mirrors. So when you look at that from that perspective, you know that, okay, there is a reason why this person is in my life, why this job, it's why I have been in this job, and so on. Because this is like a next step for my evolution, a next step for my growth. So check in with yourself and see, okay, what is it that I can do to support myself? And maybe it's talking to friends, but make sure they are not just going to give you advices and you're going to do what others are telling you. Because again, this is like you giving your power away. Another thing, maybe you work with a coach, with a mentor, with an energy healer, whatever it is, the support that you have in your network that is going to help you make the best aligned decision for yourself. And at the end of the day, the last step I want to share with you is that a lot of times when we feel indecisive and confused and we don't know what to do next, I would say it's also because we got misaligned with ourselves, with our values. So here is on this step where I want to invite you to get clear on, okay, what is it that are your values? What are your values that you desire and that you have in a relationship, in a job, when you move to a new place? What are your values? What are your non negotiables? Because if you're going to move forward in a situation where you've crossed your own boundaries around what is a non-negotiable for you. And for example, I'm gonna give you some of my non-negotiables in relationships, for example, is trust, honesty, integrity, growth. So we both grow as individuals and together. Like these are some non-negotiables for me. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, if one of these non-negotiable was broken, do I want to forgive? Am I willing to forgive? Give it another chance and move forward. And I want to invite you to go maybe a year from now and look back at your situation in this moment. And afterwards, ask yourself, okay, a year from now, if I take the decision not to do that, not to move forward with the job, with the relationship, am I going to have any regrets if I'm not going to do that? Are you going to leave afterwards with that, oh, what if? How would it have been if I would have tried one more time? Or you're going to look back and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I said yes when I knew it was not in alignment with me, when I knew my non negotiable was broken. And that actually took you more into a low self worth, to don't appreciate yourself, to don't value yourself. And no matter what, I want to remind you of the importance of truly choosing yourself and to know how important it is to choose your well being. Because, yes, we have been taught and we have lived in a society where we were told that we have to put everyone else in front of us and that we should go last. And I want you to reverse that. Because when you put yourself first, when you choose yourself, when you love yourself so much and so deep that you know I'm not going to be in a toxic relationship, I'm not going to stay in a toxic job, and you choose your well-being, you trust yourself and you trust in the divine, you trust in the divine guidance, that's when you actually start living in alignment, and then you are able to show up in your life and in other people's lives from an abundant place, from an overflow, where every single time when you're gonna give, it's gonna feel so good because you didn't have to take from yourself in order to give to others. You knew you took care of yourself first, of your needs, of your desires. And then from your overflow, you chose to give to others. And do you see the difference here? When in fact we are taught to do things the opposite. And then we are wondering why there are so many people out there who are so unfulfilled, so unhappy, so frustrated, so disconnected. Because in order to feel a deep connection with anyone around you, you have to create that connection with yourself. And the only way to create that connection deeply with yourself is by honoring yourself, by honoring your desires and your needs and your non-negotiable, by honoring that beautiful soul that you are. And at the end of the day, it's trusting that there is no right or wrong decision. There is no right or wrong decision. So taking off that weight, that, oh my God, what if I'm going to make a wrong decision right now? And trust that no matter what you choose, it is for your highest good and for everyone involved. This is something I'm always praying for when I'm in a hard situation, when I have to make a harder decision, to be guided to make the best aligned decision for myself and for everyone involved. And to believe in that. And do not forget to ask for your spiritual support. Ask for guidance and trust in your intuition. Because we all have our spiritual team. We all have guides, all of us, but they cannot step in and they cannot help us unless we ask for help. So get in touch with how is it that you communicate with your spirit guides. Is it through meditation? Is it going out for a walk and connecting with the nature? Is it asking for a sign? Maybe you wanna ask for a sign on what is the best decision for your highest good to do. Maybe it's through some tarot cards. Like I have now in my travels, I only have one deck with me. But that's another way I love to get guidance and to receive messages. Is it through silence? Like just being silent with yourself, connecting with your breath and with your heart, and then listening to the messages that come through. So allow yourself to explore and see how is it that you receive that guidance, because you do not have to make this decision alone. When we remember that we are spiritual beings having a human experience and that we have so much support when we ask for it and when we connect with that guidance, then you also relieve that pressure that, oh my God, I have to make this decision on my own. But remember that you have free will. And if you're not ready to move on, let's say from your job or relationship, that is okay too. That might mean that you are choosing right now to stay longer in that situation because probably there are more lessons to be learned for you there. So again, relieving that the pressure of, is this a good or a bad decision. No, just put it on the side, let it go, and trust. So do not rush, beautiful soul. And I truly believe in you. And I believe that each and every one of us can live aligned life with their higher self, with their core values, with their needs. And sometimes we have to go through harder situations to realign ourselves, to remind us, oh, you went sideways. Let me bring you back. So you get in touch again with what is it that is important for you. So that's what I want to share with you today. I would love to hear from you. Send me a message on Instagram on how you have resonated with this episode that I've just allowed myself to flow with, to channel, to tap into my heart and to be guided, to share with the souls that were meant to come on this and listen to this podcast episode, because I know there is something for you in it, and that's the reason you came here. And I want to thank you for being part of this beautiful journey with me. And I want to remind you that you are never alone. I love you. I appreciate you. And I believe in you. Thanks for tuning in to Spiritual Changemakers podcast. To stay connected and help us reach more people like you, please subscribe, follow, and leave a comment. Join our community of spiritual changemakers on social media to connect with like-minded individuals and continue the conversation. Remember, the power to create positive change is within you. Keep showing up as your best self, and let's keep the magic of change alive. Until next time.